Sitting in between week 12 and week 13, wondering what December's gonna bring to my fantasy football team.
I tinker in the morning and I tinker in the night.
Why do I tinker like I needed to survive?
The problem with my team is that I'm starting Joe Flacco. Adam, get it over with, hand over the sacco.
Welcome to the People's Pod. Welcome to the People's Pod.
What's up? It's week 13. We're both wearing red. You got your Christmas spirit.
I'm back, baby. The Niners are good again.
The Niners are good. Your $69 pickup just ran train all over me this weekend.
And it felt so good.
It's actually not my atonement for this week, but just talking about it makes me feel like I need to atone for that too. Although I feel like I might already atone for it. I don't know. Double atonement. Just like really putting the final nail in my playoff hopes coffin.
Yeah, I think you partially atoned for it because it was a part of the backlash for you talking junk on Fab expenditures. And yeah, you were wrong this time, fuckaroo.
Oh, geez. Okay, two things. One, in lifting this 12-pack, I actually have a little soreness in my arm because I got boosted today.
Hey,
fun story, or maybe we'll see. Hopefully it turns out okay. We were just talking. I'm going to Mexico for New Year's. I have no idea where my vaccination card is. It got lost in the shuffle of the pipe burst disaster. So I have a picture on my phone, which I've been using like no problem everywhere in the States. But Chelsea is of the mind that you need the physical card to travel across the border. So I got boosted today. I got a new card that only has the booster shot, and they don't write in your other vaccination stuff because they're not allowed. So hopefully the combination of this booster card plus a picture on my phone will allow me to travel throughout Mexico for New Year's.
What? That's nonsense. All right, so here's my old vaccine card. It's blurred for security reasons. And I originally got the J&J. J&J. And they sliced out, you can kind of see it. They just crossed out all the extra lines because I didn't need anything. And so I laminated it, figuring I was done.
And they got the booster. Yep.
Boosters come along. And so I was like, hey, CVS, I laminated my card. We can open it up and you can write over the cross marks. And the dude was just like, nah, I'll just make you a new one. Which now that I think about it, I just got this fake. I mean, it's old, it's not fake, but that's a little sus. But yeah, I have a brand new card. I got two.
Is your new card, did they cross through the top two lines for the first and second dose? No, because the lady today, she crossed through those areas so I couldn't write them in myself. Yeah, she was dude. And then I was thinking, so Chelsea mad scramble booked me a ton of booster appointments because of this aforementioned loss of vaccination card. So I took one today. I had one scheduled in SB for next week. And I was like, do I just get double boosted and get both of those lines filled? And today they're like, do you want my Moderna or Pfizer? And I was like, well, let me check what I reserved for Santa Barbara so I can align them up if I do this double thing. That of course is not a thing. And so my second appointment in Santa Barbara is canceled. Anyway, part two of this podcast will be brought to you by the Mystical Monkey Mixer Pack. I'm showing this to you, gentlemen, because it has 3 sours. One is normal 4.9, then the other two are both 9.5. So I never had a sour that strong before, so we're gonna try a few of them out this podcast and See how we like it.
I hope that they treat you as well as this White Claw.
Wow, is that one also 9.2?
That'd be pretty gnarly if a seltzer carried that much heft to it.
That would be gnarly. Oh, okay, yeah. Cheers, Buckaroo.
Cheers.
So, how was your weekend?
Weekend was great. It's one of the best weekends of the year in the Weaver world, in my world.
Go on.
Did you opt for the triple sour, the triple sour?
Yeah, triple or triple. We'll have to do some research. Yeah, this is the non-Belgian. So one of those 9.5s is a Belgian style triple, and one is like a regular triple. So I went with the regular triple to start.
Cool.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. That's a smart move. I would probably do this. Actually, I would probably ramp up starting with the 4%er.
Oh, really?
And then
I'm just gonna go straight for it. I had a little meal before this, so we got a base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thanksgiving with the Weavers is top 3 weekend of the year. We go out to the desert and we cook the whole kit and caboodle. We have turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, rolls, you name it. Like if there's a dish that's made normally, we make it in the desert because we're really glamping after all. So that's super fun. It's off-roading, so we're just out in the dirt. And I swear, just being in the dirt makes the food taste way better in that right too, you know. It's a 1 meal day for us. We eat at 2 p.m. because it gets super dark.
Right. Yeah.
Super quick in the desert. So that's great. Played a lot of cornhole with the old folks. This year was a lower number year because brother and sister-in-law are expecting baby, and he like literally due date is today. So
damn.
Yeah, they were just like, we're gonna chill at home in case something happens. We don't want to be in the middle of nowhere.
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like them and all their friends were gone. So, and then because of that, like other Munchkin decided to go with her boyfriend for Thanksgiving. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was me. I brought Ashley along, and then just the folks and my aunt and uncle. So it was really an immediate family, which is cool because it hasn't been that way in years. So it's nice to get like more significant FaceTime with those people.
Sure.
And we played a lot of cornhole, a lot of ladder ball, because the old guys can still play those games, you know, and they're all competitive and talking shit. And there's nothing better than smacking them down, even even in cornhole and ladder ball. Yeah.
Are you guys betting shots or anything like that? Shotguns?
Oh my God, no. With the Munchkin not around, the drinking severely, it's all casual. There's no bullying. And then Saturday was awesome. It was just a day of rest. Like we had broken a couple of the quads and dune buggies by this point. And so like I just decided this was not going to be a riding day. It was just going to be a reading day. So I opened up John Scalzi book called The Android's Dream, and I crushed it. 300 pages in one day. It was riveting. Awesome. Yeah, I can't remember the last time that I've just like sat down and read for, it must have been at least 6 hours, maybe 8 hours. I don't know, an absurd amount of time. Yeah, so that was really cool. Yeah, it was a great weekend, and now, you know, looking forward to the future, leaving tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. down to Puerto Vallarta and Sayulita for a wedding for one of Ashley's best friends. And so, you know, like Sunday is the commute day, and we already started packing then, so we don't have to do any last minute packing tonight, which is great.
Smart.
Like procrastination. As I get older, I procrastinate less and less, and life is so much simpler.
Doesn't packing also get easier and easier though too?
Yeah, definitely. I don't really care about having like a shirt for every event. Like, oh well, this Hawaiian shirt's a dinner shirt. Oh yeah, Hawaiian shirt. We can go sailing in this, no prob.
The multi-use.
Brunch?
It's a utility
Hawaiian shirt. Got the
shirt.
collar, yeah, totally. How about you,
Chelsea
man?
and
How's your
I,
weekend?
Chelsea and I were out at dinner last night in Balboa Park. There's one restaurant called like the Prado, and we just like randomly on a whim went. After, let's see, what did I do? I picked her up from downtown. She was working at the WeWork, and randomly went to this restaurant. And it's like a pretty nice place. We got there right as dinner started, and she's looking around, and she's like, I think I'm a little underdressed. And behind her, there's a bunch of like older folk, and I was like, "You're fine." I see 3 Hawaiian shirts over there, which is also a dinner shirt. But anyway, my weekend, yeah. So the craziness continues. So last we left, we had flown from Redmond, Oregon, back to the Bay Area to spend Thanksgiving with Chelsea and her family, Chelsea's family. So that was on Thursday. It was really cool. Her dad did the majority of the actual cooking and like heavy lifting in that regard. I made green bean casserole, but otherwise didn't really have to do much besides watch football. It was kind of an intimate dinner too, like 9, which is like a smaller for them. The day after that, we drove to Concord to stay with Stu and Amber and the rest of the Radio Keys. That was fun. We met them actually in downtown Martinez, which is like a little town like close to Concord, and they were like out to dinner. And we went to a nice cocktail bar afterwards and had a few cocktails, and then went to their place and played Villainous, and Amber won, unfortunately.
Dude, she's a hawk.
She really is. She was crushing us in all board games. Like we were playing Connect 4 at the cocktail bar, and she beat like all 3 of us back to back to back. She was just like murdering everybody in board games. What else? And then the gals went to bed, and Alante, Stu, and I stayed up drinking more. And then I went to bed before those guys did, and they continued to stay up. The next day, Stu, Tom, and I went to play around at disc golf in a course that's like a mile away from their house. And Stu was feeling kind of just tired. He was just so tired from the night before. And he only threw like a putter in a mid-range. And this course is 9 holes, and you play it twice to get like a full 18. So around like hole 9, it was like pretty tight between like Tom and I in terms of score. And Stu was like, "Oh, Tom can just like walk it off." And I was like, "Well, not actually, because we're playing another 9." He's like, "What? We're playing another 9?" And so he decided to walk home instead of finish the 18 holes, so he could go and take a nap because he was so tired. They had a show later that evening, so it was fine, right? Like I was happy to even get him out for 9 holes. Continuing, he stayed up much later and got drunker than I did. But then, yeah, he just like this to shamble home from the disc golf course. Finished that round. Chelsea and I then drove to Evan and Alice's place in the city. That's where we spent Saturday and Sunday night. I helped Evan put together those 2 cribs. I sent the picture into the group me. So that was pretty fun. One crib was brand new. The second crib was given to them by a coworker of Alice's that was like 99% complete. There was 2 little pieces that were missing. And so Evan had to go, or Will, maybe he already has picked these pieces up to complete that crib. But yeah, that took us about like an hour to finish 2 of them. Drinking some beers during that. Then went and saw Stu, or I should say the Radio Keys play at a brewery in SF, which is really cool. Strange venue though. They had them play on like a second level where there's a bunch of like tables for dinner, like the dinner service. They didn't really like set up a just area for like the stage and dancing. There was enough stage or area space for the band, but it didn't seem like a central area for attention. Like they were kind of like put up back in the corner. So it was like our table, which was Chelsea, myself, and Evan and Alice, and Jeff Bryden also came. And then 2 of like Jeff's buddies, and then a few other friends of the band. Monica Alante's girlfriend was there. But it was just kind of strange to like where they placed them within the whole brewery. Like they weren't trying to like showcase that they were there. So they were more like ambiance music for those who are like downstairs at the bar. But that was fun. Stu did a personal rendition of himself playing Rich Girl. You're a rich girl and you're gone too far. But you know it doesn't matter anyway, which was the theme song of his bachelor party, which is great. I got a full video of that, and then Evan sent a few Snapchats of that too. But anyway, cool concert. Sunday, Evan and myself met Adam at a bar in SF, watched the morning and afternoon games, mostly to completion. Then Sunday night, Chelsea and I went to like chill step / dubstep concert of this band's artist DJ called Illenium, which I really enjoy. My favorite songs are like the more melodic with like the female voice with like a chill bass in the background. / the Spotify rap came out today, and I learned that I'm in the top 1% of his listeners on Spotify. But anyway, the concert was pretty sweet beyond the fact that the ticket said it started at 8. We got there like 7:45. There was an act going at that time. So we're like, sweet, we're in perfect time. Then another opener followed after that, or second act went from 8 to 9. And then we're like, okay, so he has to be coming on after this. But then another act went from 9 to 10. And this is like after a whole day of like drinking and whatnot. So I'm drinking like whiskey Cokes and like vodka Red Bulls to get some energy. And eventually we like left the floor to go up into the stands and the just like seats, and Chelsea like tried to nap during the like last opener before the actual show. But then when he came on, Illenium did, it was awesome because there was like flame, like fireworks and like lasers and all this other shit. So super worth it to see him. I've been trying for a while. Monday, we worked at Evan and Alice's place during the day and then drove from SF down to San Diego. We left around like 3, stopped off at Adam's place in Oakland so I could drop off a fifth of whiskey to him that I owed that I forgot to bring to the bar on Sunday. And then we made it to the extended stay where we are now at around like 11:30 midnight. Yep.
Damn.
And that's my weekend.
What a journey. That was an epic. I think we could probably just close the podcast out after that.
Well, see you all next week.
Deuces.
One note I forgot about the bar we went to, Evan, Adam, and I. It was a Steelers bar. So we walk in and it's like chock full of Steelers fans. And I don't know if you saw any of that game, but they got their asses handed to them by the Bengals. So it basically was a bar full of like silent and bitter Steelers fans. And, you know, like Adam's got Joe Burrow. So like whenever he did something good, like Adam would cheer. And Evan has fucking Joe Mixon who scored multiple touchdowns. So it was like every time something happens, we're like, yeah. And I was like, hey, under the table.
Yeah. Under the table. Oh man, that's funny. A Steelers bar. I want to find a Niners bar. Huh. I wonder what that's like.
Atonement section.
Atonement section. I got.
So if you recall, you made a atonement claim on the last podcast that basically said Team Jiggy Jiggy is going to have to, and I quote, limp to victory in this one. And he ended up winning by 60 points, which wasn't even the biggest blowout of the week.
Damn. Yeah, limping into it. Huh. I wonder why I said that.
Are you ready to atone? If your atonement material?
No. I got my booster 2 days ago, so I'm still like feeling it. So I'll just take a drink for now. I can postpone this shot atonement to next week.
That's fair. Are you not supposed to drink on your booster, or just because you're feeling a little shitty?
Just because I was feeling a little shitty.
I feel normal. Like nice. I didn't really know what to expect out of it, especially because I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and this is a Moderna booster.
Hey, we're buddies. We're on the same team.
Yeah, so fine. Then I will atone. I'm actually gonna finish the rest of this Crown Royal. I think it's around like a shot's worth.
Wow. That looks
I had to
like
go
more.
back to my house. I think it's kind of like deceptive in the way it's in the bottle.
Hmm.
Anyway, been going back and forth to the place as we're here in San Diego to drop some stuff off, pick some stuff up, like the mail, water the plants, which shocking aren't dead. Look for my aforementioned vaccination card. In any case, last podcast I mentioned that Philip Lindsay was on the street, which he was because he was cut by the Texans because you mentioned that you had started him in week 1. And now, through a very unfortunate series of events, I currently am starting him in my lineup. And additionally, about an hour after I picked him up today, he got slapped with a Q. So we'll see what happens. But that's my atonement for this week. So let's see if this is a shot or not.
Jeez. Philip Lindsay on the Dolphins. Oof.
Yeah, like 12 carries.
Wow, yeah.
And I read an article that it wasn't just because garbage time. Actually, someone in the Athletic. Side note about the Athletic is pretty interesting. There's one dude that does like target shares each like week. I guess it's each Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. He releases a segment that's like this person's like target share or like a share of the load of all work is going up or this guy is going down. And Lindsay had like a fat share. And Gaskin actually got like the last carry or carries in the game. So it wasn't just like Gaskin had been pulled. So that's my justification of having Philip Lindsay with his Q and under 4 points projected currently in my lineup.
Yeesh. That's
But
tough.
and shit more on me later. Next segment, listener questions. We got a few to go over today. So first one I'll pose to you comes from our boy Scott in the frozen tundra. He says, how relevant are Yahoo rankings? I.e., they include a confounding factor of Yahoo account activity outside the league. Who is using other leagues' sports on their Yahoo account to pad their numbers, rank, and status?
Interesting. How relevant are they? I don't think they're relevant at all. Ratings and levels. This is like some shit where it's just like Yahoo is just trying to like gamify their website and like make you like earn it through these achievements, just like trophies or fantasy medals.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually looked at fantasy medals?
Oh yeah, I have a lot.
I think I do it like once per season where I'm just like, what even are these? You know, and you look in, it's like, you completed a trade, you pick somebody off the waiver wire, you know, and then there's like impressive ones like you're on a 10-game win streak. Never gotten that one. But
what's that like?
yeah, I think it's all just like a garbage stunt that they have tried to make people want to use Yahoo. Like, it's just like, oh, we're different from ESPN because we have medals and ratings. And yeah, it's bullshit.
Speaking of ESPN and other services, Adam was showing us the Sleeper app, I think is what it's called, which he uses with his home league buddies. It looks pretty legit. I push that we should make a vote that the SACO has to import all of our data into Sleeper so we can use that. Actually, I'm putting that on the fucking list because this actually segues perfectly into the next topic, which is
I'm shocked because you are the vice president of the COP. Are you the secretary?
I think I'm the assistant to the president or something.
And that is a major change, sir.
It's just awesome. Like the functionality of that app is awesome. I definitely was very sad when we had to go from the Yahoo chat to GroupMe. I mean, for some fucking stupid reason, Yahoo just like downgraded their chat. which is insane. But the sleeper app is really cool. So maybe we can have Adam give us a little like 5-minute presentation at our next draft and lobby for it.
I would love to have a guest segment of Adam on where he just comes in, we talk about sleeper and then bail. I have read several times on Reddit about sleeper crashing and being inoperable.
Oh.
And so that is one knock against it that I haven't experienced with Yahoo.
Touche.
Before. Yeah.
Well, that'll have to be part of a good presentation is acknowledging the weaknesses and then proposing a path forward.
Yeah, we need a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Get on it, Adam.
The last one was titties.
Bodies.
Okay, right, next question. Yeah, no, not next question. We're like halfway through the segment. Spreadsheet and proposed changes by Adam for next year. So podcast for support or non-support of proposals and or any proposals we personally have that might not yet be added to the sheet. So currently there are 15 proposals now that I just put the sleeper app on there. So instead of going through each one, I propose that we go one per person. So Adam's only proposal is increase weekly move limit plus subsequent waiver change. He goes on to say, increase or completely remove the weekly moves limit to allow more injury by impacted teams to be more competitive. In order to avoid player churning by hooligans, we either allow all drops to go straight to free agency or we make all pickups run through waivers each night. So what do you think about that?
What do I think about that? I do think it would be important to have all pickups run through waiver wires each night. I think that
I just thought of a shadowy move, but all right. So we can trade this person for this person, but then next Tuesday at 7:47 p.m., you're going to drop this guy and he'll immediately become a free agent and I'll pick him up immediately.
Yeah, I don't like that because you just like the people that have free time and are able to check it always would have an advantage from those drops. Oof. Ugh, I don't know. I personally don't mind the weekly moves limit. I think that I have had to deal with big bye weeks, and so I schedule ahead of time. And like O'Malley made a trade specifically because he had a massive bye week. I think week 7 was like the bye apocalypse for most teams. And so I personally don't mind the 3-player limit. I mean, if we made it 4 players, that's no sweat off my back, but
it is 4 players.
I think it's 3 players per week. What are you talking about?
Every person can make 4 moves per week.
Oh,
it was increased. It used to be 3.
Increased.
So yeah, I'm on board. Yeah. I'm on board with your assessment, which is that it doesn't really need to be changed. I also like looking ahead. Like for instance, this might not be rocket science, but what I'll try and do is if I don't use all my moves on like Monday night or Sunday night, I'll just look for the position that I might need for the next week and just pick that dude up with my last move. I did that with like Cole Kmet a few weeks ago. I did it with like Justin Fields. So you can like find people to fill a slot that you need. Their bye weeks help with that, but I don't think we need to change that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We already talked about increasing league dues. Brad says dues should be held in a high yield savings account or a low risk EFT to appreciate during the season. Whoever invests would be allowed to take out their marginal tax rate. How does tax burden get handled by the commish?
Yeah, so as a historically low season finisher, On average, I finish around 9th place. I'm fully on board with risky investment of all league dues because there really is no, I don't see that money anyway. So why not bet the house?
I'll be in SB next week. Maybe we can get Brad to get on the podcast and give a little pitch for what he sees the most high yielding investment would be for our dues, which may increase to $200 or more next year. All right, next. So you have 3 here that you proposed. Do you want to champion one of them?
Yeah, geez. I'll do the reverse snake draft. This was proposed by Pebbles on draft weekend, and how it works is normal draft rounds 1 and 2, and then starting at the 3rd round, the 12th slot gets the first pick in the 3rd round, and it's a way to normalize drafts to make things seemingly more fair, instead of the first place team having an advantage. And for me, the only thing that I needed to hear to be fully sold on this is that high stakes leagues use this method. If I consider our league to be high stakes, I think that if they are normalizing the draft, I think that we should as well, even though we have the draft competitions. Like, it's basically whoever can't make it generally will draft at the back.
Right.
So, counter argument to that point is that, like, fantasy is so random with injuries and all of that. Like, CMC hasn't been reliable in the past couple years, but and this year, like, if you had drafted Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon at the 12 spot, you would be leading the league, right? So
I was just going to say, Evan, who had the 12th pick, is in first place by a large margin.
Yeah. So there is a lot of luck, but the fact that high stakes leagues do it, that's really what just like sold me. Like, I don't need to hear anything else for that.
I think we're high stakes too. And I had kind of an epiphany today, which might lose me some votes in the COP election. But in my own proposal that we can discuss in a little bit, my reasoning was like, for those who are skeptical, my reasoning would be, why don't we just try it for a year, right? It's like something that this is a league. This will be the 10th year we've done it. It'll probably go for, I don't know, however long, right? Hopefully 10 more years and beyond. So I feel like we can have a little bit more experimentation than we've done, just because it's only like a 1-year thing. And Brad brought up a good point that both the FAB budget and the half point PPR that was implemented have been positive changes.
Yeah. Sweet.
But maybe we can have you visit the podcast and make a proposal for this one. Next one, Evan says, add a second IR slot. So we'd have 2 for IR, 1 for COVID. This is your nightmare, right?
Very bad, very illegal idea. Yeah, I'm staunchly against this. I will die on this hill. No.
There have been many, many, many times this season where I was like, fuck, if only we had that second IR slot. But I too agree that I'm against it. The rosters are already pretty big. And even with the COVID, I mean, with the 2 extra spots, you can have 2 extra players. So I think a third one would just be even more ridiculous.
Yeah. And actually, I see a comment here that says this would be a good idea if combined with proposal number 5, which is my idea to remove 1 bench slot. I would support the second IR injury spot if we removed a bench slot.
And now I'm going back to my COP roots and no for both of them. This is blasphemy. End of discussion. Stop the count.
Get out of here. Get out of here, you sleeper fan.
O'Malley
Yeah,
asks, Not for it.
It was, I just like another comment. I think that is a phenomenal compromise for both of those initiatives or proposals. Like if we just get rid of one hoarding slot and add injury prevention or injury mitigation, or I don't know, injury, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Storage.
I think mitigation is fine. My issue with it is like right now it's even across everyone, right? You have this many bench slots, this many IR slots, this many COVID slots. If you subtract a bench slot and then add an IR spot, the potential slots are the same, but not every team is going to have 2 injuries. So you're still going to have some inequity because you're going to have some teams that are utilizing an extra, the now removed bench slot, and some teams who are not, just by virtue of the construction of their team.
Yeah, I think you could already say that there's inequity with like good teams being able to stash players because they don't need start now players and stuff like that, right? Like there already is an advantage to being a very good team. Like you're not just desperately churning through players. So if we eliminated a hoarding spot, then bottom teams would be able to make better quality plays. So anyways, that wasn't one of the initiatives that I wanted to talk about tonight. But I'm glad it worked its way
it popped up.
Yeah.
O'Malley proposes, you can't drop players who already played that week when they're on your bench. I do kind of feel like this is kind of a hack. And I personally would be fine with this change.
Agreed.
Easy. Okay. Scott has a bunch of crazy ones. I think the one that's most relevant and not insane is a so it's like, if you guys are not looking at it, Scott's first one is remove the kicker slot. His second one is remove 1 wide receiver slot, remove 1 running back slot, add 1 flex slot, remove 1 bench slot, and full PPR. My brain hurts just reading that.
Ooh, it sounds like Scott just wants to be in a different league with that one.
Last one, which
better.
I think is relevant, is push the trade line back a week. So it was 11/20 this year, and it would have been 11/27. I see no issue with that.
Yeah, I think this probably felt more significant this year if we didn't automatically extend it with, like, season was extended one week. Did we also extend the trade deadline? If not, then it, like, the normal would be the week forward.
Right. That's a question for Commissioner PB Lee. PB Lee, if you listen to this podcast, did you have the foresight to move that trade deadline back while none of us did? Or was something that now we're looking at only because it slapped us in the face the last few weeks?
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of remarkable how I really felt the trade deadline being so early this season, because I felt like I needed one more week to see if I, like, the state of my team, and if I needed to try to move a big name for 2 lesser players, but like more security, so to speak. And it was just so soon. It came and went so fast, and I still didn't know what was happening with my team. I still don't know.
Yeah, and many things have happened. But even look at those guys who have traded, like Swift is a good example.
Oof, that's a tough
Pollard,
trade.
also a good example. That was like super early trade. Adam and I made a trade, and we're both headed for this beer bracket, so inconsequential for us. All right, next one I want to talk about. We'll end with this one. It's the 3 divisions. And this is where I said, we've done it for 10 years. Why not try something new? I think this would be fun because I guess we'd have 3 rivals as we have now. So that really wouldn't change. But just a concept of like divisional pride. Like for instance, so we'd be in the Southern Division. Wouldn't you have like an extra stake and rooting interest for someone else in your division against other divisions? And then just like stacking up the divisions over the season. And then come playoff time, if like 3 from one division make it and only like 1 from another division, then you have that like, oh, this is the strong division like type thing. It's it would make it more like football is now.
I think that I would prefer if my division was not with like you and Brad, because assuming that we're the South Division, because like we can see each other more often than I can see Scott and Max or Pebbles, Bill, right? Like I made this argument in the beginning of this season where fantasy is a great connector for me, and like whenever I match up with somebody, I generally text them and we have a back and forth. And if I have a division with my closest geographically located people, those are the people that I'm probably going to be able to see the most already. So I don't know. And then you get into the whole topic of like division winners, they probably advance to the playoffs, right? Or would it still just be the best record and point differential? Like how does that change?
I feel like the playoffs? Division winner would have to go, and then after that it would be as it is now, which is like best record, points, etc.
Yeah. So like then you can have a terrible situation where like one division just sucks and somebody that's 6-7 gets in, 6-8 gets in, and there's a division with 3 teams that are 8-6 and one of them misses the playoffs because that Garbo team makes it. I don't know. This is going to be a tough one for me, Gal.
The 2011 Seahawks showed us. They went 7-9, won their division, and then knocked off the Super Bowl champion Saints from the last year. Sometimes those teams just need a little bit of a chance. Just need a chance.
And then it's any given Sunday. Yeah.
That's right. Any given fantasy football Sunday.
Just like the Giants, San Francisco Giants in their wild card run.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Tough sell for me, but I'm also never like one of the loudest voices in the room on changes or against changes. So.
Dude, we have a lot of proposals to get through, and it's not even, this season is still going. So we're going to have to dedicate like hours to going through the spreadsheet in our nice Vegas VRBO, which will be coincidentally situated halfway between the Strip and outdoor activities, to where anyone can find the activity they want to do.
As long as we're across the street from Topgolf, then I'm in. But a VRBO is not a penthouse. But I'm sure there's some pretty cool VRBOs.
You're saying a VRBO in Austin? That place is pretty dope.
Yeah, it was pretty dope, but if we're going to Vegas, then I want like a pool table. I don't know, some cool stuff. I want to be like living the dream.
So what you're saying is we should invest our current dues in Bitcoin now. So by the time we have to do that next September, we have a little bit of spending money.
Yep, that's exactly it.
All right, that was fun. Thank you. Wait, hold on. This is not even all the freaking questions. We still got Adam's question. Adam's question is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. We've been talking about Scott's questions for the past like half hour, whatever it was. Which, by the way, great question, Scott. I like to get some attention to those proposals because people should start thinking about them early. Oh, yeah. Second Brewdog. Okay. I'm going to open mine over here because I usually splash my computer when I don't. Cheers.
I want to give kudos to Scott for being more engaged this season. I'm super stoked.
Oh, yeah. That one is definitely more Belgian than the last one. Yeah. Okay. I'm just not a Belgian fan. They're like Belgian taste, there's a very specific Belgian taste. And I feel like I've only met people that like it. Maybe I'm just in a very small minority, but like the Belgian style beers, I don't really like them. and this literally is like a Belgian sour, which to me right now only just tastes like that Belgian taste. So thank goodness it's 9.5. So I won't remember after I drink this beer what it tastes like.
Yeah. There's nothing worse than opening a fresh beer and just like, bleh.
You're like, fuck, this one's a lemon. I'll save these for Brad because I'm going to be spending some time with him next week. So I'll be like, hey, I brought you some beer.
Hopefully this is the episode he chooses not to listen to until next
I
week.
think he's been good. Brad's actually getting back surgery soon because, his back is fucked up for the second time. So, everyone send your well wishes Brad's way. Doesn't sound like
Good luck, Brad.
serious, but it's going to be like off your feet for, a time.
That sounds scary. Anything to do with surgery, especially the back. Anything to do with my back, I'm scared. Anything to do with surgery, it's scary. Just
Double.
Good luck, Brad. Yeah, double whammy. Good luck. Best of luck. It did Timmy well. So let's make it 2 for 2, huh?
That's true. Yeah, Tim played Frisbee competitively afterwards. He's taken week-long backpacking trips and hiking the top of mountains. So that's a good comparison. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Next question and final question by Adam. Would you be interested in having either the winner's bracket or a loser's bracket or both, putting up an additional prize for winning that bracket, buying alcohol or a random football gift? My immediate response to him after this was, this is to give those in the loser's bracket and some incentive to continue playing. And to that, I think, why not? I think maybe this is kind of case by case where we don't mandate something in the beginning of the season, although we could. But if once the top and bottoms are separated, then they all could decide amongst themselves. All right. Yeah, that was interesting. Might have to do some fancy editing to get that out. What do you think?
No, I think no. What are we? Communist China? What are we? Oprah? You get a prize. You get a prize. You get a prize. No. First place gets a prize. Last place gets a Sacco. That's what it is. You can have side bets galore, no problem. But those are the two. And then there's, the drinking championship belt. Those are the three prizes in my mind for fantasy. We already have the fourth place fedora. It's an unofficial award, as you know, because yours are imaginary. No. Seventh place doesn't get dick. Mm-mm.
I do like, I agree with what you said. You can have side bets. And that belt, by the way, is sick, Bill. That's sweet. And I'm happy to have another trophy to be passed from champion. Bill let me know he was doing that when I was up there in Bend. And each time I visited, it hadn't come yet. It was delayed like by months. When it finally arrived, he was like, this thing is heavy.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's
awesome.
legit.
I love that. It's got some weight to it. That's how you know it's not cheap. Yeah, love that.
Really earn it.
That picture that he posted in GroupMe, like Becca yelling at him to make the bed, and he finally does it, and he gets yelled at again. I died laughing out loud. Like at first, I looked and I didn't see the belt there, and so I was like, what? That looks great. Like, what's wrong? And then Bacon had the comment. So obviously I'm late to the party. So Bacon had the comment about ironing the sheets. It's like, oh yeah, I guess there's a couple of wrinkles, like Bacon's onto something. And then I saw the belt in all its glory and I was like,
if we're being honest, real life, I didn't know that was a thing until you just mentioned it right now. When I saw that bed, I was like, this is funny because Bill's always complaining about how he's getting chastised for this and that. So this is probably just like any other day. I had no idea the belt was on that bed. So thank you for sharing that with me. And I'm going to be scrolling back in this group me to see that.
Yeah. It's just like a throw pillow.
That's what I thought it was. I literally was like, he even has like the decorative pillow on there. Like, what's her problem?
Nope. Shiny belt. All right. Whew. We gotta pick it up. We're already.
Okay, we're almost
not even
done.
halfway through.
Yeah, we're close. We're close. We're close to halfway through. No. Lee picks leaderboard. We had to talk about this one because Pebbles made us amend the minimum games from 64 to 60, and then he put 0 picks in this past week.
That's an atonement for sure.
Yeah, Pebbles, send us your atonement in the group me. I liked watching Pebbles shotgun over his sink in the kitchen. That's always great. So if you can send another one of those videos, that I think everyone, maybe you'll get that 11 likes, like Bill did with a fucking bed picture. Quickly going through it, Adam is leading at a 611 clip. Bacon is at a 583 clip. And what Adam said is if Bacon, I think, outscores him. Did he say that Bacon has to be perfect or he can go 4-2 the next 2 weeks? Do you remember? 5-1.
5-1.
And Bacon would have to do, or Adam goes 2-4.
Something. No, Adam goes 4-2.
Oh, so Bacon's like
Anyways.
right there. Let's go, Bacon. Wow, dark horse getting in there with the 60 game limit. Wow. That would be insane because right now Adam has 44 correct picks. He's picked every game. Bacon has 28 correct picks. So if Bacon comes in and wins, that would be quite the thing. Then poor Adam's suffering would continue.
I wouldn't be surprised though if Bacon like somehow paid it forward to Adam. Just like, there's he'd probably be the one to be like, there's an asterisk next to my name. The only person in history to put an asterisk next to their own.
Or he brings Adam like nice 5th to next draft weekend or something. That'd be a very Bacon thing to do.
Very Bacon thing to do. But I'm close. If I had not missed a week, and done above average, I would be in there too.
If we're talking about ourselves, I'd like to mention that O'Malley and I had identical points because I went 4-2 this past week and he went 2-4. So my consolation prize will hopefully be beating O'Malley in picks. So we got 12 more to make. So we'll see.
We gotta take our wins when we can get them.
Yeah, I think there's more wins for you coming. Reviewing week 12, our picks. I took myself, you took yourself, and you won. You are 2-0 now against me this year in rival matches.
Perhaps you're a great rival. I would love to, going back to that division thing, I would love to have you in my division. Sorry.
That's fine. No, I've earned that. To that, I will answer. I hope you make the beer bracket and I can beat you in our third matchup.
Dope.
We both picked O'Malley to beat Pebbles, and he did. That matchup is at 1-1. We both. Well, actually, that's not true. You picked Bacon to beat Max. I picked Max to beat Bacon. Bacon won. Bacon is 2-0 in that matchup. And that was the biggest blowout, I think, by like 80 points, which is rough. We both picked Evan to beat Stu, and he did. Evan's 2-0 in that matchup. We both picked Bill to beat Adam, and he did. Bill is 2-0 in that matchup. So you're not the only one feasting on your rival. Your first rival in this league. We both picked Brad to beat Scott, and he did. You have a postponed atonement for next week on that one. Not because you didn't pick him up because of the margin of victory. And that matchup is 1-1 now. So that's an even one. And that's
so
that.
Funny. What a random disclaimer to put on a winning pick. I think.
Yeah, I went and listened back, and you were like, what'd you say? Limp into a victory.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's a hot take. I'll own it next week.
I think you might have mentioned the same thing this week, or were you just rereading what I had read or I had written? earlier?
No, my
Your
team
pick.
Jiggy limping. Yeah. My atonement bet was a hot take. Betting on the highest points for team to limp into victory is a bold strategy.
Touche.
Before we hop into this week's
picks.
picks,
Oh yes. I'm so sorry.
no, it's okay. I didn't put it on the docket. Amateur podcasting here, folks. So I did a little bit of a deep dive because injuries have been such a theme to my season, and I was very curious how injuries have affected each team. Now, not all injuries are created equally. We know this. Losing Sterling Shepard versus losing Derrick Henry, probably not the same feeling, right? But they still require roster management, and that is to be noted. So what I did was I went through each team, every single week's roster, and I noted players that were out for each week due to injury or COVID. I accounted for bye weeks. I didn't include IR stashes. So Will Fuller, Rashad Bateman, Jeff Wilson Jr., those Odell, those aren't included in the early season calculations. And then I didn't include non-active game day players. So like Ramondre Stevenson, Zach Moss, those two come to mind. Yeah, and so we'll share this spreadsheet in the group me just so you can see all the the chaos that it is. But basically, I have had the most games missed from injury, and a large part of that is due to Gus Edwards and Irv Smith, two players that I drafted going on IR immediately, right? So that's 12 weeks. Oh no, the AirPods are dying. How fun. Brad is actually in second place with 40 missed games. So I have 45 missed games. Brad has 40 missed games. And that's in a large part due to Raheem Mostert and James White, who are both, startable assets. So that's tough. Stu has the least number of games missed with 8. Oh, I'm sorry. Pebbles. No, I lied. Pebbles has 7.
Oh, shit.
Insane to me. And this goes into the quality of games missed, right? Because for Pebbles, it's Dalvin Cook, Damian Williams, Damian Harris, and Corey Davis. Those are the 4 players that he's been missing.
Wasn't he recently very loud about injuries?
I think so. But yeah, Adam has 21 games missed. And again, he has, significant injury capital with Ridley and Carson being injured. They make up for a majority of his missed games. And I thought, speaking of bench slots and how they play a role in roster management, I was curious what the highest number of injuries per week is. And you actually own that. You and Bacon own that with 5, that distinction, 5 injured players at one time. So that's tough when you have 5 injured players all at the same time. That is an argument against, removing a bench slot, but that didn't happen very often. And a lot of these injuries, so Brad averages 3.6 injuries per week, but that's because Mostert and James White have been out for the season, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So this was a really fun deep dive. It's cool to see how each team has had to deal with the flurries of injuries. Bill has a serious concentration of missing CMC, David Montgomery, Darren Waller. in the core of his schedule. But, in the last 5 weeks, he hasn't had any injuries. And then now all of a sudden his team's dead again. So it's cool to see these trends. And yeah, that's fun.
It is really cool. I am this data just like spurs more questions out of me. Like, for instance, Max and Evan are back to back in your spreadsheet here. They got identical number of injuries or games missed, but they're on the opposite ends of the standings. Right. Mm-hmm. So like there's like a quality of injury, right? Like not every injury is equal, like you said. So somehow quantifying what injury is more relevant than another injury would be interesting. Also, like Brad is up there, but you're counting Mostert and James White, who have missed significant points of this season and like may or may not. Same with Gus Edwards and Irv Smith for you, right? Like these guys who account for a lot of injuries toward the total, but may or may not have actually impacted their teams. So there's so many more levels you go with this, but it is pretty eye-opening to see someone like Pebbles who's got 7, which is like, if you would have asked me like who has the lowest amount of games missed or like what the number would have been, there's no way I would have said less than 10, right? There's no way I would have given a single digit number, let alone seeing multiple people in the league have under 10 games missed. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is crazy. And it really shed the light. Like we're talking about quality of players here. Like I was very interested in Adam's team because obviously like he's had a pretty rough go of it. And, I got to do a deep dive on his team. I looked, from week 1 to week 12. And like a lot of his troubles spawned from the lack of a true quarterback. And some issues like that. There were weeks where he had single digit point performances from his quarterback, and that was the reason why he lost.
Also the reason why he traded with me for Burrow.
Yeah. And he even one week he lost because he started Joe Burrow over Matt Ryan. And that was the point difference between the two was how he lost his matchup. The following week, he started Matt Ryan and then was doomed again. Matt Ryan scored like 0.25 points or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, so he has both challenges of like significant draft capital, what is hurt and missing from his team, but also his team is underperforming. Yeah, it's wild. And then, yeah, like Brad, his team is just a powerhouse through and through. Like, his injuries have been significant because he's missing Gronk for 5 games. Josh Jacobs has missed 2 games, but also Josh Jacobs, he didn't start Josh Jacobs every time he could. So that's weird, right? And then Saquad's missing 4 weeks, right? So that's a significant injury. It's very interesting to me.
Hey, Brad got the Patterson pickup, just like you and Elijah Mitchell, like those two are huge. I mean, Patterson's probably the waiver wire pickup of the year. And like everyone was like scoffing on the $21 he spent. And then now everyone's like kicking themselves, especially, yeah. I mean, I'm sure like Bill and Stu, who both spent around $50 for those Titans running back who now aren't even the guys or are like injured. Right. So it's like every single thing is cloaked in randomness, or I don't even know, covered in randomness. Every single move you make, no matter if it's the draft or an injury or a waiver wire pickup, it's just like random.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so true. And I think, obviously the draft, it all starts with the draft. And so like using Brad as an example again, like Mike Williams coming out hot, Cooper Kupp being the best wide receiver in football in the 4th or 5th round. I don't know. I don't remember when he was drafted, but like that allows you the leeway to work your way through some of these injuries. And, like it's a different story for Evan's team, who has missed 19 games, but the quality of player missing is really not that good. Like Kareem Hunt missed 5 games. Dak Prescott missed 1. Amari Cooper missed 2. Those are really the only players of note that missed time out of those 19 games, right? Otherwise, it's get Michael Gallup, Devontae Parker, Samaje Perine, Russell Gage, right? Like those are all just like garbo players that you pick up for random, like just random things. So
Yeah.
tale of two journeys leading to the top. Anyways, we'll share the spreadsheet with y'all, and you can look at your team like I know you will. See what your journey was like.
I certainly did. I immediately wanted to compare my trials and tribulations to everybody else, and I was surprised that I wasn't close to the number of the leaders, because it feels like I am. I'm sure everyone has that same feeling.
Yeah, and just to point out your Julio Jones pick, I think during the draft itself, I was just like, man, if he stays healthy, that's going to be one hell of a pick for you. And here it is. You took a risk, and it hasn't panned out so far.
Cooper Kupp taking 3 picks after Julio was.
That is devastating.
Yeah. But anyway, awesome. Thank you for putting this together. This is really cool.
Yeah. It only took forever, like shockingly longer than I had anticipated.
And that's a dedicated podcaster right there.
Yeah. Sorry, company.
They'll survive.
Yeah.
Sweet. Week 13 preview. We've got to the picks. Which matchup do you want to start with?
Oof. Gosh. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Let's go Pebbles versus Stu.
A banger right off the bat. We have the current 7th place team versus the current 4th place team.
This has huge implications on the playoffs.
Well, what do you got?
Oh, my God. You go first.
Okay, I'm not prepared. Okay, so my notes. Devontae's out, right? And the health of both Mark Ingram and Henderdog come to mind. Big factors for Stu. Lamar Jackson coming off a 4-pick game, which is disgusting, but now is playing the Steelers, who just got owned by the Bengals, and mostly on the ground as well. We know Lamar is a huge running quarterback. For Cousins, surprisingly, when I saw his matchup with Detroit, you think it's a plus matchup, but when you go into his stats, you see that he actually didn't do very well against him in his last game. He put up 13.4 points against Detroit in the last matchup. Be that as it may, I'm picking Pebbles in this one. Pebbles wide receivers are just on an uptick. I mean, Keenan Allen's getting double-digit targets every week. Mooney is really ascending, even with the Bears being pretty ho-hum. I mean, Mooney's put up double-digit points in his last 3 games, and in 2 of the 3 have been close to 20, if not over 20. And Mark Andrews also is continuing to flourish. Even in games, the last 2 games, the Ravens scored 10 points, 3 games, 10 points, 16 points, 16 points, and Mark Andrews has scored double digits in each of those games. So because of that, because Devontae is out, because Stu's running back core is a little bit questionable, with Henderdog with a slight injury and Ingram having unknown market share, if we talked about, because Kamara is going to be back. Taking Pebs.
Yeah, I also chose Pebs, and part of my pick is because Pebbles really needs to win this week. I mean, Stu also does if he wants to secure a first-round bye, but this is make it or break it for Pebbles. And so just like having that spirit, I think his team's going to fight for him, just like if your coach he's getting canned at the end of the season. You want to give him a final victory,
Play a little harder.
Yeah.
And all these players know that Pebbles is close, so they can play harder.
Yeah. The Jamal Williams, like, I think Pebbles spent the rest of his fab on Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
That's huge. He needed that with Dalvin Cook. Yeah, I think that he takes this W, and I think he also has the advantage, the Philly defense advantage versus the Jets, versus KC and Denver. Denver's just such a conservative team. I don't really see them giving up that many. They may not score that many points, but I don't see them turning it over a lot, 2 yards.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's a good mention of a team that really needs it, because I think that's a theme of this week. There are some teams that are, in some tough spots as opposed to their opponents.
Yeah. Let's pick an easy matchup, huh? Let's go Evan versus Team Jiggy Jiggy up next.
Yeah, easy one.
This is another Evan's strength of schedule. I think this year it's got to be high up there.
His average points is pretty good too. But yeah, I definitely agree that he's catching Jiggy at the right time, I guess. Well, actually, no, Jiggy Jiggy's got their strength. But anyway, what am I noticing this one? First of all, it's sweet because it's the first and third place teams. So Evan keeps having these like banger matchups. And yeah, my literally first note is matchup of the week based on like first round bye implications. Maybe not the one that's most exciting because both these teams are headed in the most likely to the playoffs. But that bye definitely is looming large. Everyone's looking for that. It's funny that Pollard is just slotting in for Evan. Just like no problem that he has like another almost starting running back. Now that Swift is out. Although he got lucky with the kick return touchdown last week against the Raiders. If that hadn't happened, his total would not have been, double digits at all. But still funny that Pollard's looking good. Brad's team just is booming all around, right? Sequads is like the lone man out who's still waiting for that boom. And my curiosity is, when are we going to see him really break out? Miami defense is a tough matchup for him, so I don't know if it's going to be this week, but Brad probably doesn't need it because everybody else on that team is just going bonkers. Next note is, are we going to see Prison Mike or Puppy Mike for Brad? Which version are we going to see? The Chargers are kind of in an interesting spot after dropping the game on Sunday to Denver. Like they need to start winning some of these games, whereas the Bengals are looking really good. So that should be a fun game to watch. And then also for Brad, the New England defense has been lighting it up. You were on the receiving end of a 28-point adventure with them. So I don't know. I think these are super evenly matched, these two teams, but because of Brad's boom last recent weeks, I'm going with him.
Yeah, I am also probably making the mistake of choosing the third place team over the first place team. I think it's crazy, but I'm doing it. Brad's just got the hot streak. Amari Cooper, I'm not convinced that I am convinced that he actually suffered from COVID a bit.
Yeah.
And they said that he still had a cough when he showed up to.
It's chill. He's got a cough, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They are in Texas. They're probably like, whatever.
Yeah. So clearly his lungs were affected. So I could easily see him being a bust this week. Ayuk gets a boost from Debo being out, which is, kind of a bummer, but
right.
Debo, I love you so much. Yeah. I think that Cordarrelle Patterson is a game changer for this matchup. Starting a running back as a receiver is just not fair. Yeah, New England is playing Buffalo in a snowstorm. Like the high of that game is 47 with 75% chance of precipitation. No, thank you. I don't want to play in that.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. And I could easily see Gronk outscoring Kelsey, which is like crazy, but classic Gronk. Probably the best pick of the draft. Gronk. Well, no. Cup is for sure the best pick of the draft, but Gronk, in terms of if you take away the injury point per game points, he was the best pick.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, in the round that he was acquired, if we're doing like points per round picked, then yeah, he probably wins in spades.
Yeah. So I'm also going Team Jiggy Jiggy, even though I don't know how much more of the smug I can handle.
It's getting unbearable.
Taller world champion.
Right, what's next?
Into an easy matchup to pick. Let's go Bacon versus Bill.
This is an easy one also.
Yeah, this one's super easy. I'm going with Bacon 100% because Bill's team is bruised and broken.
It's so funny the difference 1 week can make. After last week, we're like, oh, Bill's just like a shoe-in contender to the finals now.
Yeah, I could easily see Bill losing out. Let's see, who's his next? Who does he play next week? Oh gosh.
Podcast math. Here we go.
Podcast math. He plays me. Oh, how fun. I can easily see him losing the next week. Easily. But yeah, his team is battered, bruised, broken in an alleyway. He partied too hard last week, and
he's got that belt. It's very heavy.
Somebody tried to rob him of that belt, and he was able to hold on to it despite everything else. He's butt naked in the alleyway, bloodied, but he still got the belt.
It's Curt on the cold couch.
Yeah, I mean, he's currently still starting Darren Waller, even though Waller's not expected to play. Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to get 2 carries. Maybe he might vulture a touchdown, but that's tough. And then Ronald Jones Jr. So, I mean, at this point, those are desperation plays, right? He's just hoping for a TD vulture, which, granted, those are very, I would say, probable. Like, as far as TD vultures go, I think only Jordan Howard beats those 2 players.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's starting Rondale Moore. That's just tough. His lineup belongs in the consolation bracket this week.
Yeah, I'm also taking Bacon. He has Kamara coming, set to return. How much action he's going to have is unknown, but still a positive sign for that team. I think his Bush right now is pretty high. Yes, somehow 18. And on his bench. So, I mean, he's not in the starting lineup currently, but I can see him making his way in there. Although it's kind of an interesting decision Bacon has to make going between Hilaire, who put up double digits, Fournette, who just put up a 40 burger, and then Gaskin, who also has been doing pretty well. So something to note if Kamara stays on the bench, which would be kind of unprecedented given his draft pedigree. Yeah, Bill's got to make some moves. Tight end, obviously, Waller's not going to play. It's kind of a bipocalypse for him with all of his Panthers out. Like, he planned to have CMC's backup, but now that backup's on a bye. DJ Moore, who's been doing better the last 2 weeks, on a bye. AJ Dillon, who's been seeing increased work, on a bye. So the players that made teams scary are now unavailable for this week. I think Bill can afford to lose this one, though. With 8 wins, he's probably in anyway. But I'm also taking Bacon.
Yeah. Ugh. AJ Dillon, he's been so good. I'm gonna have to fight him and DJ. His team, Bill's not as bloodied as I had hoped.
Yeah, as a random late by apocalypse.
Yeah. I don't like this really late bye week. It's messed up.
Yeah, someone else who is suffering that is myself. So I'm going to do my matchup next. I think this is also an easy one to pick.
Let me guess. It's not you.
I am not picking me. Our bushes are astronomically different. I'm going to be without Rodgers and Chubb. Furthermore, my aforementioned Lindsay is now playing for me because Zach Moss has seemingly been banished to the shadow realm by Matt Breida and the Bills coaching staff. Other notes I have in this one is Kyler returning for Scott, which is huge. Also, Hopkins returning for me, but those two players are not exactly equivalent in production. Another one where Scott is still playing for something, even though we both have similar records of 5-7, Scott has the points for. So he could definitely be one of those teams who gets in at 7-7. I guess one team probably will be 7-7 and gets in. I think Scott could be one of those teams if he keeps producing. Sketchy that he's got Russell Gage in his lineup, who has been producing the last time he played, but still has multiple zeros on his ledger. Scott also made a sneaky move of picking up Tevin Coleman, who I didn't even put on my radar, but who had 16 carries for the Jets. And they're now playing Philadelphia, who doesn't have the stoutest of defense. So with the Saleh Coleman relationship and with their Michael Carter being banged up, I could see Coleman meeting his projection and being a contributing player for Scott's road to victory against me.
Yeah, your team is also hurting. I think you'll be in a really bad spot if Hopkins or Melvin Gordon have the mystery, the random out, right? Melvin Gordon, that Q showed up today. That's tough. So, at this point, you're hanging by a thread, buddy. I'm sorry.
No, I'm living it. I know it. Gordon's blurb does say that he's guaranteed to play, basically. But even if he triples his projection, I probably still would be projected to lose. So,
yeah, but you never know. Any given Sunday,
you never know.
Good luck to you, sir.
Next matchup.
House of Joe Scott.
Yep. I marked it down. I assumed as much. O'Malley versus Max. Who you got?
I chose O'Malley's. This is another one of those. I really wanted to pick Max just to be the upset, but then I didn't want to put that juju into the world, even though I did it inherently by talking about this. But O'Malley's team is just stronger somehow. I don't think it is just looking at these two teams on paper.
Yep.
I still really like Max's team, but somehow it's just not working out. And O'Malley's team has been able to, except for O'Malley's team has also put up some historically low lows. So that could be this, I think, is one of the biggest matchups to watch because O'Malley really needs this win and Max's team is no slouch. And so he's going with the double tight end strategy. Max is dealing with some current injuries of his players, right? Michael Carter finally turned it on, then got hurt. Chase Edmonds on IR. He was great to start the season and then just kind of sucked. On Robinson is probably the biggest bust of this year, right? Injury side, just straight up performance wise. So And then, yeah, Allen Robinson and Miles Sanders, who are now both on Max's team. That's a tough one. Anyways, I think that O'Malley's team guts this one out.
So you're saying this isn't the week that Max gets 90 out of Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Tyreek Hill?
God, that would be crazy in the snowstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could. Oh, that would be insane.
Max has Allen, Diggs, Jacoby Myers, Devin Singletary all playing in that game. He's got 4 players playing in that snowstorm. Whereas O'Malley has 0.
That's why I chose O'Malley, because of the snowstorm.
I also chose O'Malley. Max is hurting at running back. And when you're trotting out Naheem Hines and Devin Singletary, something's gone wrong. Obviously, Michael Carter, we talked about, he went down. Actually, Edmonds and Carter right there. Sonny Michel could be a sneaky play against the Jags, as Henderdog is a little banged up, but we'll see come Sunday. If they play Sunday, yeah. Also, Chargers special teams looking rough. We were talking about them last week, but Max got 1 point out of his kicker and 3 points out of the defense. So if you got 2 spots in your roster combining for less than 5 points, it's going to be hard to win. Those numbers are probably not going to be the same this week, but still remains to be said that Clippers not as strong as some might think.
Yeah, bless him.
Yeah, bless him. Also, Mahomes returning for O'Malley after he was just rounding into form, and then Waddle, OBJ, Gallup, and Schultz all had great weeks last week or the last time they played. So I'm also taking O'Malley. He's in a good spot. Unfortunately for me, who has that bet against it.
Uh-oh. Can you talk real quick?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Perfect. Thank you.
Good.
Fun technical difficulties over here.
We are professionals. Okay, we're on the last matchup. The last and another one where another person really needs this win. As you're featured in this one, I'll go first. I'll say my notes before I pick who I think I'm going to pick. I've picked. This is a fun Sutton versus Judy versus the Kansas City secondary matchup. So Kansas City has not been great this year on defense, especially in the back end. So you got to think that one of those receivers is going to have a good game. You are frozen for me. Can you still hear me? This is a fun screenshot I'm going to take in the interim. Ezekiel Elliott's workload also comes into question in this one. We've had a lot of reports about him not getting a bunch, then getting more. Pollard also is there. That was it. Weaver left. Weaver has left the recording. Where'd you go? See, this is podcasting at its finest. Weaver just said his power just went out. So he lost internet and now is out of the podcast. Here, let's see if I can get his pick. Give me your pick and I'll close it out. So while he's texting me, I can tell you guys my notes as we're going through it. So Weaver gets Madison again. To Pebble's chagrin, right? Cook goes down. Madison always produces when Cook is out. Madison has some big weeks. He has multiple 20-point weeks in Cook's absence. So probably can expect that again, especially because they're playing Detroit, who is pretty poor. Nick Folk, we talked about, he put up 20 points against me last week. They are in a snowstorm, but still, I mean, if we're looking at this kicker's points the last, few weeks, 20 points and 15 points, and then 9 before that. So there's definitely above average numbers for a kicker. And then the ascension of Williams on Adam's side is also something to note. He had a great game against the Chargers, and Melvin Gordon did pop up as questionable. Text Weaver that I got his pick in. Also, sneaky tight end pickup by Adam. I picked up Waller's backup on the Raiders, and the last time that Waller missed a game, I know that guy, Moreau, scored a touchdown. But in short, I'm picking Weaver. Weaver is picking Weaver. And that's going to round it out for all of our picks. So if that goes as we think it will, Weaver will basically cement his place in the playoffs, and Adam's place and potentially not getting a first round bye in the beer bracket will also be completed. So this might be a podcast first that power went out for one of the podcasters, and so we'll finish solo. But going through the picks again, both Weaver and I are taking Scott against myself. Both of us are taking Pebbles against Stu and his health factors. We're both taking Bacon against Bill because Bill has crazy injury luck a week after he showed huge. Both taking O'Malley against Max, and both taking Weaver against Adam, and both taking Brad against Evan in that 1v3 matchup. So do we agree on every one of these picks? We literally have 6 of 6 picks that we agreed on. Wow, that's so funny. Anyway, thanks, Curt, for the jingle again. Super funky. We love it. Good luck to everybody not named Scotty. And we'll see you on the group, guys.
Sitting in between week 12 and week 13, wondering what December's gonna bring to my fantasy football team.
I tinker in the morning and I tinker in the night.
Why do I tinker like I needed to survive?
The problem with my team is that I'm starting Joe Flacco. Adam, get it over with, hand over the sacco.
Welcome to the people's pride.